Welcome to Breakdown, Friday, February 20th, 2026. SEC and Big Ten, JJ, that's what we normally talk about. But let's start off with a different conference, but go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, even though it's basketball season, why don't we call an audible and pivot over to the Big 12 just to talk about what's going on in the Little Apple, Manhattan, Kansas.
Okay.
Kansas State recently relieved the duties of Jerome Tang.
Their head coach.
And they said that they did it for cause.
That's what they said.
That's what they said. Most observers thought that they were doing it because performance, after making it to the Elite Eight in Jerome Tang's first year.
Yeah.
Next year they went to the NIT. The year after they didn't make it to either. And then this year is this year. And it's not going well. So they said it was for cause because in one of his final post-game media availabilities, he mentioned the players don't deserve to wear the Kansas State jersey. A lot of them aren't going to be around here next year. They don't deserve the honor to wear a Kansas State's uniform. And that got a lot of media pub like that went around, that circulated, went around the blogs and around Twitter and everything like that.
Old school coaching.
So Kansas State's lawyers argued that was a violation of their one of the clauses in their contracts that said that he couldn't bring embarrassment to the school. Now the intent that most lawyers, I think, thought that was to dissuade things like what happened with Bobby Petrino in Arkansas, that type of behavior, not losing games and going on a post game like kind of tirade or whatever. But so that was what was going to have to be argued in court because Jerome Tang Jerome Tang did not accept the buyout. Apparently, there's a rumor.
So how much money does he have left on this contract?
So the buyout was $18 million, and apparently there was a rumor that Jerome Tang has evidence that Kansas State's lawyers approached his lawyers trying to negotiate the rest of the season, saying that they would allow him to coach for the rest of the season, and as long as he'd be willing to sign something that would say that he would not seek the full $18 million. Okay. So that would obviously be a conflict of interest because if he brought so much disgrace and embarrassment to your university, why would you let him coach out the rest of the season?
Exactly.
And also, if you're him, why would he accept, okay, so I can either get less money and then coach out and do more work, sign a piece of paper that says I can do more work and get less money, or I can fight for the money that's owed to me, so.
So schools are constantly trying to worry about the dollar. This kind of reminds me of the Mike Anderson, St. John's situation when he got fired, and they said it was for cause. He sued them for $45 million. His case got settled. We don't know what the settlement was, but these schools trying to fire a coach and then call it a for cause, kind of like what football team did that this year? Who got fired? LSU. Initially, they were going to say Brian Kelly was for cause. It's crazy.
It is crazy, but nowadays you have this NIL, and you're trying to compete with the Joneses and everything like that. And every million that goes to paying a coach that to sit on his butt and not coach for you, you can't pay to
a star player.
So I get why it's why they're trying new things, but I also don't foresee it working. I'm not a lawyer. My sister is, but I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know. But it just doesn't seem like it's a great way of conducting yourselves. But
before we move on, JJ, you brought up NIL, and I'm on pose a question to you. I heard some people talk about this before. Michigan State is a state school.
Yes.
Michigan is a state school, and this is hypothetically. Should our taxpayers' money, you and I live in the state of Michigan, should our taxpayer money go to fund NIL? I mean, it goes to fund teachers' salaries and a lot of other things. Should it fund NIL? And if so, why? And if not, why not?
Well, no, it shouldn't. I don't think that it should. But I also don't think our tax dollars should go to funding Venezuelan like kidnappings either, and our tax dollars go to that. No, I'm just kidding. I look, no. This is getting out of this is getting out of hand. It's getting crazy. Like the numbers that players are getting. AJ DeBonta went to a private school in BYU, but they gave him allegedly $7 million.
Money.
So if a private school is willing to give $7 million, a major public school, that wants to be competitive in basketball, say a school in Lexington, Kentucky, I mean, they have. I mean, to keep up with the Joneses, they have to offer something in that neighborhood if they want to get a player of that caliber. So when you put it like that, I mean,
as Don King would say, JJ, only in America.
You know what? This does not happen elsewhere. Like other countries don't have this. I mean, Canada kind of does, but other than that, like no other countries have anything like this. Like they they think this whole collegiate fake amateurism that we have going on is. I mean, I don't know. I've talked to foreigners about it, and like they just are blown away by that.
Well, JJ, let's get to basketball.
Yeah, let's get back to basketball.
UCLA came into East Lansing earlier this week. And Michigan State blew them out. And after the game, the post-game conference, a reporter asked UCLA's coach a question. How do you think Mick Cronin handled that, the UCLA coach? How do you think he handled that question? And what was that question?
Yeah, the question that was asked was if Mick Cronin had any feelings to the way that Xavier Booker was treated when upon his return. Xavier Booker's the former Michigan State Spartan. He was there for 2 years, transferred out to UCLA, ended up having 2 points in the game. But the Izzone in the crowd was chanting Booker every time he got the ball. Just making sure that, I don't know what. I mean, they weren't saying anything derogatory.
Just smallly supporting him.
Yeah.
And Tom Izzo had urged them not to
say anything derogatory or mean, but I mean, I don't think it. I mean, he only had 2 points, so it didn't end up doing much.
And Mick Cronin, the coach of UCLA, how did he handle that?
Well, he interrupted the question. He said he didn't give a rats about any fan bases,
any
student sections, and he said that it was the worst question he'd ever been asked. To which the Michigan State reporter said, "I'll take that," which rightfully so. I'd say the same thing. Mick Cronin didn't really like that. He said, "Oh, are you raising your voice at me?" And the problem was the whole thing happened on camera, so we could see that he wasn't raising his voice at him, so we could see who's in the wrong from my end. I felt like that part was fabricated, but other people might have different opinions. You might have. I think you might want to.
And I have a different opinion.
Yeah,
I
thought you might. I thought you might. And now the floor is yours.
Well, number one, the reporter who asked that question did raise his voice on not when he asked it on the second when they got into like a one-on-one discussion, the coach and the player, and I mean the coach and the reporter. He did kind of raise his voice.
Oh, okay, but was he the first person to raise his voice? Was he matching Mick Cronin's tone, or do you think he raised it beyond Mick Cronin? Well,
I really don't think so. But you know what? It's neither. But let me ask you this question.
Okay.
Should the coach from an opposing team care about the fans from an opposing team?
Honestly, I don't really know. But I do know if you get paid, as many millions as he gets, you should be able to answer a question better than that.
JJ.
Especially after you just came and led the biggest of eggs. They were down like 30 points that game.
It was ugly.
It was not a game.
It was ugly. But JJ, let's talk about a game that was a game.
Okay.
The game of the year so far. Alabama hosting the Arkansas Razorbacks.
Now, wouldn't the game of the year have the Arkansas Razorbacks winning?
It should. The script doesn't always go right.
You know what? Rocky in Rocky 1, he lost. It wasn't until Rocky 2 where he won. Right?
That game, double overtime. Alabama won 117-115. Arkansas played basically 7 guys. 2 guys were in Fayetteville, didn't make the trip. 2 key contributors. Arkansas had 4, JJ, count them. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 players to foul out. But
double overtime will do that.
They were saved to make it that far by an extraordinary game by Darius Acuff. Let me tell you what Mr. Acuff did. He's
The point guard from Detroit.
yes, playing for Arkansas, the freshman. Scored 49 points, the most points ever scored by a freshman against a ranked team ever. How many minutes did he play, JJ?
He played 50.
50 minutes.
Yeah.
How many minutes did he sit on the bench?
That's not in a double overtime.
So he played the whole game.
Also known as 27 more minutes than some players over there in Kansas. But
we're going to talk about it.
We'll get to that later.
He had 5 assists, JJ, 1 turnover. A point guard playing 50 minutes with 1 turnover. What'd you think about that?
That's pretty good. I mean,
okay.
Can't point any fingers at him for the reason. I mean, it's more you can point some fingers at Ewan for all those missed dunks, but
yes,
but you can't point any fingers at Acuff.
But as you said, it would have been better at Arkansas 1. Now Florida is in the driver's seat for the SEC. It should be very, very easily. So JJ, let's pivot from Darius Acuff to a guy at Kansas, Darian Peterson.
Yeah, Darren Peterson. It's a natural segue just because after Darius Acuff had that magical performance, John Calipari was asked to comment on it, and he said that earlier in the week Darius Acuff was in a walking boot, and Calipari can be very dramatic and theatrical, and he went on to say
yes,
this little thing. It was like he went to him and was like, oh well, if you can't play, we'll try to fight through without you. And he's like, and he said that Darius Acuff looked at him and was like, are you crazy? There's no way I'm gonna sit this one out. I'm gonna play every minute of that game. Is what Calipari said. Yeah. And I think he was saying that to send a message through Darius Acuff to Darren Peterson, the point guard that would probably be the only point guard in the country that will probably get taken ahead of Darius Acuff in the upcoming draft is Darren Peterson. He's the projected number 1 pick.
Okay.
But he has a problem with playing basketball. He doesn't seem to play as much as everybody else does. He had 23 points in 19 minutes. I'm sorry. So I said that it was a 27-minute difference. It's actually a 31-minute difference.
Okay.
But I mean, he was on his way to 40.
That's pretty efficient, JJ.
Yeah, no, he's a dynamic. I mean, he's different. Like
6'6" versus Darius Acuff 6'2".
Yeah, as a point guard, yes.
Yeah.
6'5" and that, yeah. Yeah, he's athletic, just as athletic. But
So JJ, what do you think about him?
He doesn't play.
What do you think about him managing his minutes like that?
Yeah, so like he's missed 11 of Kansas's games, just missed playing in any minutes in 11 of the games, and then the other games that he has played in, he's averaged 26 minutes a game, which is a good 5 to 10 minutes less than most number 1 players. I think it gives a lot of NBA executives pause on if he's the consensus number 1 pick or if they're going to take AJ DeBansta over him, because I mean your best ability is availability, and I mean it's not like I don't know if it's either one of two things. Either he's not healthy enough where his body won't allow him to play in these games, which is a flag, or there's something else happening where he's taking himself out.
And I'll tell you what,
and that's a red flag too.
This is what it is. It's a business decision. Now, is it a good business decision or a poor business decision?
I guess time will tell.
That's my thought. My thought is that it's a business decision. You wouldn't have these kind of activities when I was a kid coming up. And
well, what's really interesting to me?
What's that?
Nowadays, shoe deals aren't as lucrative as they used to be.
True.
Like 20 years ago, like
Michael Jordan and all of those.
Well, LeBron, Harden got a $250 million Adidas deal. Like you had all of these sneaker deals because that was what's cool. That was before all these Brooks and these On Clouds and these Hokas and all of that. Now, like Nike, I mean, you can see the Nike stock. Nike isn't the sneaker, like the player's sneaker isn't as popular as it used to be. So I would wonder if Darren Peterson's people would have him still be doing that if they were still trying to pursue that lucrative shoe deal as well.
That's a good point.
Because I mean, when James Harden signed his deal with Adidas, he was literally at that point in time Adidas paid him more than his NBA team, so he was technically more of an employee of Adidas than he was of the Houston Rockets. That's how lucrative those shoe deals were. So if those were still at that level, I'm sure he might still be trying to like pursue that in a different way.
One of my favorite shoes as well, Allen Iverson. He's still getting money from Reebok jersey. When the last time he suited up?
Well, he definitely wasn't in Australia this past year. No, it's been a while.
I say that because, just to make your point about these shoe deals, they can last a long time. And not only is Allen Iverson getting money, his brother gets 500 grand a year from Reebok for the rest of his brother's life. Talk about a shoe deal.
Hey, sometimes it's about who you know, whose DNA you share.
Okay, JJ, let's move on. I want to talk about 2 games before we get out of here.
Okay.
One game tonight, this Friday night, and there's this one conference that has this habit of playing on Fridays. I don't know why they do that. But let's talk about Indiana and Purdue.
Yeah.
What's your take on that game? Both of them need it.
Yeah, both of them need it, but
Indiana way more so than Purdue, though.
Indiana's a football school. I'm sure they're just basking in the glory.
I keep forgetting, JJ.
Yeah, the basking in the glory of the championship, so they'll be fine. Yeah, but Purdue, Purdue is not going to hit the heights that they had coming into the season. They were a preseason number 1 team in the country.
Yeah,
they're not that. They're not going to be a 1 seed. Right now they're fighting for a top 4 seed because there's a huge discrepancy for being a top 4 seed and being below that.
Can I come in on that?
Yeah, by all means.
They're strictly. In the Big Ten tournament, I agree. The top 4 seed get a triple bye, and then the next 4 get 2 games bye, and then if you 12 or less, you get a 1 game bye. JJ, you go into the Big Ten tournament, day 1. Would you pay money to go to the day 1 tournament?
I might pay some money, but probably not as much as it costs.
That's crazy. But I mentioned that Purdue is still a quality team. And the Big Ten is loaded with quality teams.
Absolutely. Everybody feels it except Michigan.
Will Indiana win tonight's game against Purdue?
No.
They won't. Okay. JJ, let's Purdue had a huge game against Michigan. A huge opportunity.
Yeah, they made it look closer than what it was. It ended up being an 11-point loss. But it was a 15-point game at halftime, and Purdue had to close a 20-point gap just to make it 15.5. So, Purdue was really never in that game.
Agreed. So now that I mentioned Michigan, let's talk about the potential new game of the year and the potential NCAA championship playoff game, tournament championship, Michigan and Duke in Washington, D.C. this coming, is it Saturday or Sunday? Saturday,
yeah.
Saturday, 6:30.
Yeah.
Go. Run with that game. Tell me about that game. What should I expect?
Number 1 team in the country versus number 3 team in the country.
Number 1 being Michigan.
Yep. Of course, the Michigan Wolverines. Your Michigan Wolverines will enter that game with Yaxel, Lindenborg leading them in scoring, just a shade under 14.5 points per game. All 5 of their starters average in double figures. No one averages more than 14 points, Yaxel. So Michigan's a very balanced team. They have a supersized front court. Ademara's 7-something with a 7'9" wingspan. You got Moritz Johnson, 6'9" with a 7'4" wingspan. And Yaxel is, he's starts off as the 3, moves to the 4 often. But he's in the NBA he'll play the 4, but at Michigan right now he's playing the 3. And then of course you have Elliot Cadeau at point guard and Michigan Mr. Basketball, Trey McKinney at shooting guard. It's just a really balanced team. Michigan is they're number 1 in pretty much every advanced metrics, be it Ken Palm or Bart Torvik or Evan Mia. Doesn't matter what it is. Michigan is a very balanced team defensively and offensively.
I agree with you totally. Michigan is the fourth ranked school team in scoring right now. In my mind, the only spot where I would give Duke an advantage is on defense. Duke has been holding their opponents to a lower percentage than Michigan. Both teams are amazing. 3-point shooting, Duke is...
I will say Duke has to play ACC opponents though.
That's true.
And Michigan has to play in the Big Ten. So I will say that.
But the Big Ten, their good teams are good, and their bad teams are bad.
That's true. I mean, there is probably a lower floor for the most part. But then again, when you look at the ACC, you look at like Boston College and
True.
yeah, I mean,
True. But Duke has played a super tough schedule.
that's true. You do have Clemson, you have Louisville, you have like some real teams in there. But
Duke has played Arkansas.
yeah, that's true.
Michigan
Unfortunately,
State. They played some tough competition.
yeah. The only team they lost to Texas Tech, but that was the only team that had beaten them before they lost to North Carolina just recently.
Yeah. Oh man, Texas Tech.
They just lost JT Toppin.
Oh, man,
it's a shame. It's a shame.
That is.
He was playing like a first team All American.
Player of the year in the Big 12 last year.
Yeah, player of the year, and he was in the running for with. I mean, I still think Darren Pearson probably would have won it, but just Darren Pearson might not have played in the last 3 games. But man, it is what it is.
Yeah, he put up I think it was 31 against the win against Arizona.
Yeah,
but
it's a shame.
Back to the Michigan Duke game.
Back to Michigan.
Better coach.
John Shire, Dusty May. Well, only one of them has been to a Final Four.
That don't mean they're a better coach though.
No, I mean that's true. I do think John Shire's not a bad coach, but I mean I'm gonna give that to Dusty May.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna give that to Dusty May.
Home court in Washington D.C. Who got the home court?
That is Duke's backyard, as they refer
Michigan has a huge fan base in D.C.
Michigan has a huge fan base most places.
I know one person who is just crazy about U of M, who lives in D.C. area.
Yeah, I know a couple, but Michigan should be well represented, but Duke does consider that to be their backyard for a reason. I mean, it might, it depends because Michigan is number 1, and Michigan, I don't know, they might be really, with all of that, they had such a weird football season, and then I don't know, I think that there might be a lot of people that might make a show out for Michigan and DC.
It'll be a million scouts there.
Oh yeah.
How many?
It's going to be at least 10 NBA players.
How much would the win do for either team?
I don't think Michigan needs this. I think Duke needs this win more than Michigan does.
I'm not talking about for ranking. I'm talking about for a potential second meeting. Or does it not mean anything if they were to meet again?
I mean, unless one team blows out the other, I think it would just be a good. I think it's going to be beneficial for both teams, just so they can get kind of punch out each other, see how like everyone responds. Just give them jabs, and then I think it'd be a little bit of a filling out process. But I don't think either team is going to come out too demoralized if it's a close game. What do you think?
Well, let me just. That's a good question. I'll think about it. But JJ, Michigan has a habit of blowing teams away. Good teams like Michigan, Gonzaga, everybody else.
Yeah,
Purdue.
They have the most 30-point wins.
So
yeah.
Well, what were the odds of them winning this game by 20? In your opinion?
I would think that wouldn't happen. I don't think Duke plays at a fast enough pace. I think that Duke is very long. Like these are the coaches that take wingspan and height very, very seriously, and you can see it on the court.
Yes, you can.
Yeah, I just don't think it's gonna be. I don't think either team's gonna blow out either. Well, I do think Michigan has a better opportunity, a higher likelihood of that happening, but I think that likelihood is like 3%.
Will this game surpass the Arkansas-Alabama game as the game of the year?
Well, yeah, because Michigan's gonna win it, and I'm gonna like that. I didn't like the way that the Alabama-Arkansas game ended.
On that note, I think I need to get out of here. I got a high school basketball game to go to, JJ.
Understandable. You know what? I do too.
Okay, then let's get ready to get out of here. But before we go, WPS, Woo Pig Suey. Bam. What you got?
Detroit
basketball.
Number 1 team in the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference.
We out of here.
Number 1 team in the NBA.